Hi again, guys. Right, we're in the throes of fitting this cage, so we've basically refitted the jig and turned the car on its side for just a bit better accessibility. So I'll just show you what we're doing there, and then we'll have a go at welding some joints up, all being well. So this is the car remounted on the jig again, and it's on its side, and the beauty now is that we can actually climb inside the car, and we've got very good accessibility to welding all of these joints. What we'll probably do is weld them on this side, and then I'll flick it over, and then we'll do the same on the other side basically. But just having it tack welded in place at the moment has meant that at least everything's correct with regard to the stresses when it was sat on the sill stands. But now obviously it's not going to move. We can just flicker over, do the welding that we need to do, and then basically we're all good to go. So just a view from underside, you can see these are basically all of the areas that we've seam welded. So obviously it's burnt through on the other side, but that'll all have to be cleaned up before we come to do the final paint and everything like that. So yeah, the spit roast is proving very useful once again. Okay, so we've welded up what we can get to by having the car on its side. That was pretty good for access. So what I'm going to do now, we've got it back down on the sill stands again, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack off the welds that we had before, the spot welds, and then basically we're going to get a ratchet strap across the bottom of the main hoop and the front legs, and we're going to pull them in and drop the cage down onto the floor so we can get access to the top of the welds, you know, up above here basically, because at the moment we've run out of room. It's just too tight. So I'm hoping that if we drop that down there, we can basically gain about another 100 mil and get the welder over the top. So let's give that a go and see what she looks like. So that's the strap across the main hoop and the front legs as well, and there you can see that the cage has dropped down onto the floor. So that's given us quite a bit of access on the top here, so we can get into these top joints pretty good, I would say, around there. The one on there is going to be a little trickier, but it's not too bad. We should be able to get most of the way into that. And we have got the option, I think, as well, if we just skew the cage, we can get those legs out of that door and maybe tip it this way a little bit, which might just give us a little bit of extra access on it. But we have got a bit of room to play with. So what we'll do now is we'll have a go at welding up some of those top ends that you're not going to be able to get to once the cage is sat up on the sill again afterwards. Okay, so I've welded up the top section of the cage, and we've lifted the cage back up onto the sill basically. So that's up there and that's tacked now. The other thing that I had to do, let's just put that around the other way, we had to just reset out the front by putting the dash bar across. That's not welded in place, but it had to determine the position of the foot plates, basically where the cage meets the foot plates. So that's just basically gone in there as a dimensional check really. And then round the back, managed to put the first rear diagonal which goes down to the rear strut in that corner over there. So it's taking shape. We're going to just get all the tubes tacked in place, and then there'll be a welding session to get it all correct. Well, we're on with the cage. It's not particularly hot outside, but it's damn hot in here. As soon as you've got this visor on, and then of course you're in the car, all the heat is just in one place basically, and it's pretty hot work doing that. But we are getting on with it. What we've had to do is put a central plate down here. This plate didn't come with a kit, so I've just basically made a plate up there and welded that on. I've cut out the other side of the rear strut to get access into there, welded a plate onto that, and just welded up onto the main hoop, the rear strut support. So we've now basically got both rear strut supports in, and we're going to get on now with putting a couple of diagonals in there. Okay, so we've got the rear strut braces in before. We've now got the diagonal, which comes from this corner all the way across to the far corner of the main hoop, and then we've got the rear strut brace, which runs across, obviously from strut to strut across the back. It's a bit hard to see there. Get a bit up there. You can see that there now. So that's going across there, and then we've also got the rear strut lower braces coming down, so they come off the strut down to the bottom of the main hoop. That's the plate that I welded in before, and we've got now the central V. So basically the whole of the rear main structure now is tacked into place. Some of it's had to be fully welded because I can't get at it once some of the members in, but that's the main structure in the back there. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to feed a tube through this hole here, excuse the pot noodle, and that is going to go onto the front tower strut, which you can just see through the hole there. And then what I've done at the moment is I've just put a strap on it and pulled that leg out of the way, so we've got access down the side of it. So I've got to plasma a hole in under here, basically at the back up there. So we have to plasma a hole in here somewhere, and then the tube will come through. And then what I'll do is, because it's a bit of a hit and miss, if I can't get the hole exactly the right size, what I'll do is I'll put a little plate over it on this side just to close up any gaps around there. And then we've got another tube which will go through the firewall here and go down diagonally onto the bottom of the leg then, basically. So that one goes up at a kind of an angle up this way and through here, and then that meets the top one. So the two basically form a triangle. You've got the top one coming across here, and then the lower one comes up at an angle, and the two should meet, all being well. So I've plasmaed some holes through. The top tube comes through the hole in the dash, that's a standard hole, and then I'll just take that one out. We've basically cut right the way down to the bottom of the leg. You can see the leg just down the bottom down there. And we just get to it. It's not going to focus on it, is it? But basically that tube goes all the way down to the bottom of the cage at that point down there. And we've had to take out quite a bit of material to get to it. So there's an oval elongated hole there, and then similar when we get up through the top. I've had to take out quite a bit of material there. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a plate to go on the inside of the wing, and then that'll just have the correct size oval hole. So I'll do that with a bit of cardboard templating. The same on this next hole down here. So the second hole down there in the wing, that can have a square plate with an oval in it. And then on the inside, where she goes up through, we'll do the same on that. We'll put a plate over that one with an oval in there as well. So basically we'll have 3 plates to go on it, and then when it reaches the strut top, at the moment the tube, I'll just pop it back in again. Okay, so the tube is finishing about in that position, something like that. So we'll make some plate to go from the end of here out onto the side of the turret at that point, and make sure it's all welded onto the top of the plate there, and then back onto the chassis rail on the side here as well. So that should locate that nice and strong then. This was the old bonnet latch mechanism, which we don't need now because obviously we've got a fiberglass bonnet and we'll have pins on that. So that's been cut away, so that just needs all tidying up there. I'm a bit loath to take this piece off because that'll form like a mini firewall across the back. On the standard integrale, obviously she comes out round the heater box and then back in again. But obviously we've done away with that. We're going to put a smaller heater boxer in there. But I'll keep that, and I'll do the same on the other side. So we'll get rid of the hinge lock, the bonnet locking mechanism area, and then we can plate straight the way through onto the top of the turret. Right, just had a little delivery. Let's try and get this open and see what we've got in here. it's a load of old motorsport magazines. Actually, it's not a load of old motorsport magazines, because underneath we've got ourselves a light pod. Okay, I know I don't need this for hill climbing, but it wouldn't look like a rally car if it didn't have a decent light pod on it. That's a replica of a Group A Works one, I believe. So, happy days. We'll get that on and we will get some lights in it at some stage. Cool for cats. There it is, an approximate position. Always good to have a bit of a look and see how things are going to pan out. Quite like this. It's a proper job, as they say. Got holes in it between the lights so that you can get a bit of ventilation down into the grill. It'll sit down a little bit lower on this, I think. So what you don't want to do is be blocking off the grill with a great big bit of plastic in the way. So I think the idea there is that some of the air can still get through to the radiator behind. But obviously once we've got some lights in there, the big holes will get filled up. Cool. So we've had a bit of a look at the cage. I'm going to try and get a bit more work done on this bank holiday weekend coming. But I just really wanted to post a bit of an update on that so you can see how the cage is progressing. Just offered up a door bar down there as well at the moment. But still got a bit of work to do on the front that I was showing you before, where the bars are coming through in that position. So hopefully this weekend I'll be able to get those welded into place. I'll do the same on the other side, and then it'll be a matter of doing the full welding, the final welding on the cage. When that's done, we're then looking at getting it ready for a bit of paint. So I'm really hoping we can move on a bit by this. Need to get it painted, need to start assembling it and putting some of those goodies on it. So thanks for watching Otto's Garage, and I'll catch up with you soon. Hopefully next time you'll see a fully welded cage. Cheers guys, see you soon.
Bye bye!